So I believe it's been about a month or two since my last makeup haul, ever since I finished my year-long no-buy. And I have bought things since then. Last month you saw something that I bought if you watched my beauty tracker. However, I bought a significant amount of things that I didn't want to fit that all into my end of the month beauty tracker, so I thought I'd make like a second haul video. About half of these products were from Labor Day because they were good sales, and I didn't realize I was a weak person until that moment. So let's just start with the product from last month. It is the BH Cosmetics Avocado Toast Palette. I won't go through this too much into detail just because I've talked about this before, but I ended up buying this for $14.40 because it was on sale last month. I'm a little sad that I haven't used this as much as I wanted to because I think the color story is absolutely gorgeous. I love greens and I love how it interacts with variations of reds, and the quality so far has been amazing, with the exception of this guy was a little meh, but oh my gosh, this shimmer called Hass was gorgeous. I know I did a look with guac that was really pretty. I also had pink salt in that look, and I feel like there's just so many inspirational color combinations I can do with this. I want to get more used to this so I can actually do like a good review and have my good thoughts on it. But I've been so focused on the eyeshadows I'm panning, as well as just focused on other things outside of makeup, that I haven't been wearing makeup half as much as I'd like to. Now, before I get into the products I bought for the Labor Day sale, I wanted to talk about ones that I bought while I went to the grocery store for the first time in I have no idea how long, because I mean, I just haven't left the house that often at all. I was with my dad and stepmom and we were going to the store, so I was like, okay, I'll go. And I was like, wait, how long has it been? Holy crap. It's been ages. But my Fry's Marketplace, I swear, has a better makeup selection than most of the drugstores in my area. It has some brands that I haven't seen in many other places. Like, I had Koki. I don't know about Koki's cruelty-free status, but they also had Flower Beauty and Burt's Bees, and they have a good amount of makeup brands that you don't see in a ton of places for a Fry's. I know it's Marketplace, but I don't know, that was kind of cool. And while I was there, I had to get some things like toiletry items, but since my dad was paying, I was like, well, I might as well get this little guy that I was wanting. I wanted to get this because it seemed like a really good dupe for an old number 7 shadow that is no longer in production. And it's not exact, they're slightly less cool, but it gives a similar enough effect on the eyes itself that I feel like it works. It's very subtle, but I'm not altogether mad at that. As you can see, they're definitely soft in pigmentation as well as just impact. They're all kind of shimmers, but they're not, actually that one's kind of more intense. But I feel like I could use them all blended in the crease on the lid. It's such an easy 3-color look. I feel like this would be perfect for travel, if I could ever do that anytime soon, because it is so easy. I only need one brush and just use 2 of these in the crease, you know, change my placement, and then use a finger to pat this on the lid. Boom, I'm done. Also, it's smaller, and if it were to break or I to lose it, it's not heartbreaking. I know most people would be like, really, you got an old CoverGirl trio? You were excited about that? But like, yes, I was. Believe it or not, I don't have a ton of neutral eyeshadows in my makeup collection. So this isn't something I have a ton of, if any. Like, I think this was a good buy, considering I don't even have to pay for it, so. Now for this next one, if you have seen my Back to Broadway Project Pan series, then you will know I am currently working on an old Milani eyeshadow palette depotted from palettes that I'm sure they're discontinuing, and I absolutely love it as a face highlight because it's this white champagne, very pale neutral color, and I don't want to buy an entire palette for one color. I can't justify that. Considering I still have some of the shades from the palette that are barely used in comparison. But I bought the CoverGirl single eyeshadow in Champagne because they actually had a good selection of CoverGirl eyeshadows. Again, I was like, wow, Fry's has it all. Who needs Walgreens? Who needs CVS? Who needs Ulta? We got Fry's. As you can see, it's a very pale champagne, and it does get a bit of hard pan. I think I rubbed my finger in a little bit too hard, so it'll be best. If I just use a brush, it'll be fine. So as you can see, it's fairly neutral in undertone. I'm actually wearing it today, and it's just like a neutral glow on me. And the reason I go for eyeshadows is because a lot of highlighters that brands make are just not pale enough for me. If drugstore brands made more highlighters that had variations of undertones in a really pale depth, then I would totally buy those. But the thing is, it's so hard to find highlighters that won't be too dark for me. So I was like, I'll try this. This looks pretty light to me. So it's not like the most insane eyeshadow, but I think it works better that way as a highlight because I don't necessarily want like a glittery or really intense highlight. It's not a natural highlight by any means, but it's also not, it's somewhere in the middle, which I think I prefer. Now this last one was something, for a while I've been wanting a pale blue, and so when I saw that CoverGirl had a pale blue at the store, I was like, yo, I'll try that. And it's the CoverGirl Single in Sterling Blue, as you can see. I already depotted it. I wanted to depot this because I wanted to try out with this before the other one that I wanted more, just in case if it didn't work out. Super easy process, by the way. All I had to do was I had like little nail clipping scissors, you know, and I just used like one of those to pop it out. It was already kind of loose. It just has this big goopy thing, but the rest of it wasn't attached. One of the easiest depotting processes I've ever done, even though it's plastic packaging. And you had to scrape off some of the goop sticking to it, but yeah, if you're wondering, these are easy to depot. And this is the shade I bought. And while it looks really pretty in the pan, I should have known that CoverGirl eyeshadows wouldn't be the most pigmented. And so that formulation works really well with those neutrals I bought. However, I wanted a blue, and it's just, you can see on my finger, it's like, oh, pretty. It's very subtle, and that's as a finger swatch. So you can imagine what it's like on the eyes. On the eyes, it's like, are you okay? You look a little sick. They're kind of like, blue, what's going on there? The color itself doesn't look intentional enough for me to want to use it. When I'm fine with neutrals being sheer, because usually when I wear neutrals, I want it to look more natural. But when I want color, I want it to look intentional. I want it to look vibrant and purposeful. Even using this wet and with the finger, it just wasn't cutting it. I have found a way to make it work, and I will talk about that later when I show you another thing that I bought, but it's just, I probably shouldn't have bought this. I probably should have bought, you know, a single from someone else, but it was one of those moments where I was like, well, I might as well buy this if I'm buying the other two, and yeah, again, I didn't have to pay for it. It was only a couple bucks, but still. Moving on to the Labor Day sale purchases, and I have never bought from this brand before. However, I believe it was a 40% Labor Day sale, and I was like, I had my eye on a palette before. I talked about this in a recent wishlist video, and so I just bought it because, my gosh, isn't it so pretty? I know mauves is probably basic for a lot of people, but I don't care. I actually don't have a ton of colors like this. I mean, I don't really have any colors like this. I had the e.l.f. Rose Water Quad, which is like cool mauves, and this one has warm mauves. So I feel like this really adds to my eyeshadow collection and just the color variation I can have. And I know some people don't like monochromatic palettes, but I feel like they can be really handy. I, a lot of times, don't view my palettes as individual color stories. I mean, I do, but in a way I see them all as singles, and I just reach for whatever colors I want to make the look that I'm trying to get, if that makes sense. So I often don't have looks just isolated within a palette. I just use a color from here and a color from there and a color from there, and boom, I have a look. I don't know why my brain just works like that, and I would buy singles if they were more cost effective, but I think this is really gorgeous. I definitely bought this because of Sarah Rose's recommendation. I was wanting a mauves palette. I was considering the ColourPop one, but then I heard mixed reviews on that, and then when I saw her swatches on this and talking about how great the formula is, I was like, yo, it's a $5 palette. How can I say no? Especially when it's on sale. And since it was on sale, I figured I should just buy another palette. I've never been extremely interested in red eyeshadows in the past. However, the past couple months, my desire to have more vibrant and rich red eyeshadows has increased and increased and increased. It's like I'm turning into Haley from Beauty News. I was just like, I want all of the red. So, since it was on sale and I was already buying the Mauves palette, so shipping would have been a similar price anyways, I thought I would just go and buy the Rubies palette. And each of these palettes was $5 each. I believe I paid a little bit more than $6 for both of them, not including shipping because I don't feel like calculating all this. But I think it's just so gorgeous. If you're someone so fair and pale, you might be like, wow, those are pretty intense colors for you. And I would agree, but I also think these colors are so perfect for fall. I have used actually several of these shades in a look that I thought ended up really, really gorgeous. Something about it just had a perfect blend. I also used the yellow from that BH Cosmetics palette as well as another yellow to blend it out with some of these reds, but I used, I believe, these 3 red mattes and this as well. And then I also used this gold shimmer, and it was just so beautiful. And I'm not someone who's super into warm tones or fiery colors like that. I've always been leaning towards purples and pinks and pastels, but sometimes you just want something different, and I feel like this gives me something that I cannot get anywhere else in my collection with the exception of maybe like this gold or something, but it's just so stunning. And the shade Ruby was what sold me. I was like, I need this like true red. While I do think the packaging is nice, especially for $5, a part of me is a little bit irked by the massiveness of these pans, and I feel like it's just unnecessary. Well, on one end, I'm like, wow, Profusion, way to go for giving us so much for our money. However, I'm like, why did you feel the need to give us so much? Let's compare it to this 18 pan palette from e.l.f. It is almost the same size, and it has 8 shades less. I feel like these are pretty normal size pans, so I'm like, why do we need such massive things? That's just a petty little like nitpick I have. It doesn't actually matter, especially if you store your palettes maybe stacked like this way, then it wouldn't really matter how big the pans are. But I just prefer smaller things in general because I like to be able to get as much money's worth as I can, and I'm like, I don't think I can ever finish this up. That's just not practical. Now, the second brand I purchased from on Labor Day was NYX because I might have signed up to a lot of different brands just because you would get like a discount by signing up on your first purchase, and so I was like, you know, I want to use this. So that might have been a bad idea, but they sent me an email like, yo, Labor Day sales, you can get some certain items for a good discount, and I also could get a discount on ones that like didn't already have a discount because it was my first purchase, if that makes sense. And the palette that they had on sale that really caught my eye was the NYX Ultimate Utopia palette, and they had the giant one, and I remember liking that color story, but not liking how massive it was. As I was saying earlier about eyeshadow pans, this is perfect. This is essentially the same size as those ColourPop 9 pan palettes, but it has 16 shades. Like that's what I want. I don't care if they don't have shade names. I just want to save space. And I had my eye in this palette A little bit, but it was more of an impulse purchase. Yes, it has greens. Is anyone surprised? No, absolutely no one is surprised about a palette with greens. But can we just address how gorgeous this green is, this purple, this like dark tealy navy, this like aubergine, is that even how you say that word? And then these greens, and then these like tree bark browns. I can imagine a look with these browns and this green. The only shade that I don't like in here at first impression is this one, because it is a cream matte shade, but I don't know how you can see. It has like pieces of glitter in it, and I just don't understand the point. I wish you could see it on camera, but it just won't show up, and I just don't understand. I have a shadow like this in my e.l.f. New Classics palette. There is the shade Downtown, it's the last one, it's a black with glitter in it. It already has a black in that palette, but if you want one, there's one with glitter as well. I don't get it. I don't get it. I could have used this matte shade, but now you'll just see pieces of glitter with it. If this was a metallic shade, it would be perfect, because there's already a similar shade in matte anyways. Just make this a metallic champagne shade. Is it that hard? You already have some good metallic formulas in here, NYX. Why did you give me a matte with glitter? For instance, there's that Tati Beauty Volume 1 palette. She had a row, I believe they were called sparkle shades. I could be wrong, I don't remember. But they were basically matte with shimmering glitters in it, and I don't understand. That's a rant that is really petty and not that important, but that was just something that bothered me, because I thought it was going to be, I don't know, pick a lane. That's basically what I wanted to do. Pick a lane. You are either a metallic or you are matte, or if you want to be kind of edgy, you can be a shimmer or like a satin, but don't be this weird fusion of matte with like sparkle particles. That's not what I'm here for. If you were a shimmer or a satin, I wouldn't have anything against you. I mean, sure, I still think it would be redundant in the palette, but at least you wouldn't be stupid. If you're one of the people who do like shades like this, please let me know how you use it and why you like it, because I would love to understand. I just don't know what to do with this shade now. The other thing I bought from NYX, believe it or not, I did not have a silver shade in my collection. I had a silver glitter again from that e.l.f. Earth and Ocean palette. However, I have been avoiding that because glitter is difficult, and glitter in general I kind of hate. I have barely any clothes with any kind of sparkle on them. I don't like sparkly things with the exception of eyeshadow for the most part. I find that glitter is an absolute mess. If you have ever done any kind of craft with glitter, you'll have glitter everywhere for absolute eternity, okay? I hate how much glitter is present in the holiday season. Oh my gosh. And I hate it because it gets all over you, all over your clothes, everywhere. You can't clean it up because it'll always appear. It'll always be there. I just don't understand why we can't ban glitter from our country. Anyways, let's get back to what I was trying to say in the original story. I did not have a normal metallic silver shade in my collection. And again, like the reds, I had an increasing desire to have one of those because I just had looks that I wanted to do that I couldn't without a silver. And so I bought this little NYX single in the shade Tin. Again, I saved money by using the discount since it was my first purchase on the NYX website. And I also haven't really bought much NYX in my lifetime, maybe like 2 things. But it is this really, really gorgeous silver shade. And can I just say how adorable this packaging is? I know it's like normal and simple, but first off, it's smaller than I thought, and I kind of loved that because I was like, oh my gosh, it's a little baby. But it has this adorable little bow. It is just so precious. But yeah, I'm really happy that I have a silver shade now. I feel like it really adds a lot to my eyeshadow collection and what I can do with looks now. Now, the last thing that I bought from NYX was a little bit of a on a whim thing, and that is the NYX Glitter Primer, and I was just curious. I just was like, maybe it will help impact some of the shadows that I have and make them more intense, and it actually does feel like Elmer's glue. It's really strange. And this is the one way I was mentioning to make this blue show up. If I use this on my eyes first, then this will actually look like the color. Is it as metallic and shiny as, for instance, that green shade in that NYX palette? No, but it looks intentional, it looks like blue, it looks like a shimmer shadow. And you know, that's all I can really ask for at this point. So this I found for eyeshadows that do not have the impact I want when wet or with a finger. This does a lot. For eyeshadows that are already good, I feel like this doesn't do that much. However, I would like to add, I did do makeup on my sister the other day because she's one of the bridesmaids at my brother's wedding. That is less than a week now. Oh my gosh. But I wanted to make sure that the eyeshadow I did on her would stay throughout the wedding, so we kind of did a testing thing a week before. And she has more hooded eyelids than I do, and so she's found a lot of eyeshadows just do not stay. It rubs off and then it just kind of like gets all weird. And I used the Milani eyeshadow primer, but I also used this for the shimmer, and it stayed on for the entire time she had it. So I think this could also be very valuable for the longevity of eyeshadows, especially if I am doing it on other people. I think this is valuable, and I probably will never run out because, oh my gosh, this has 10 mils of product. That's more than most concealers. I'm pretty much set for life. So that is everything I had bought in the past 2 months, and all this has been leading up to I am starting another no-buy. I know that's really soon, a little unexpected, honestly unexpected for me. However, after all these purchases, I had to take a step back and reflect. And I realized I don't think I'm prepared to just let myself buy whatever I want, because honestly, I don't have unlimited money. I know, crazy, right? And I know that I only bought drugstore things and they were on sale and all that jazz, but I'm just not in a place where I can financially sustain everything that I want or need, you know what I mean? I need to be wiser with my money, and I want to discipline myself for the future, because in only a few months, I know it was a year's worth of wanting to buy makeup, and it all kind of built up to like 2 big spending sprees, I guess you could call them. And in comparison to other people who have YouTube channels or who do makeup as a hobby or just enjoy buying makeup in general, what I bought and how much I spent was not that insane, and would actually be pretty reasonable for an every month basis. People who do budgeting like that, I've noticed, you know, I'm not that insane. However, for me, I feel like it is a bit too much. I just want to be financially stable in the future, so I'm trying to set myself up for that. So I am starting a no-buy as of the beginning of October until the end of 2021. So it'll be a 15-month no-buy. Maybe it'll last longer. I don't know, but as of now, it'll be 15 months. And yeah, I'm a little bit excited because I feel like I bought all this stuff and now I don't know my collection. I feel like it's a stranger to me, which is a little bit weird. There are some shades that I haven't used at all, and I don't want that to be the case. I want to know my collection. I want to be well loved, and that I know exactly how I feel about every single thing in it, including every single eyeshadow pan. And that's just not the case, obviously, with the new palettes, but even with the avocado toast palette I bought last month, I feel like I haven't had a chance to use that. And even a palette I got for my birthday in May, I haven't used 1 or 2 of the shadows in it. And I just feel like that shouldn't be the case, and I don't want it to be the case. And I also do want to finish up some of the older shadows in my collection through project panning. I'm actually considering doing a 1-month, 1 palette series next year. I probably won't start it until the new year just because I don't even have 12 palettes to do so. Well, I guess technically I do, but 2 of the palettes are really tiny, so I'm probably just gonna like throw them in for 1 month. So I want to be able to balance painting eyeshadows with also experimenting with a palette each month and getting to know my collection again. I'm excited to do so because my drawers are full. And when I say full, I mean some of my makeup is in a second drawer, and I wanted it to stay in one drawer, and I do plan on doing a makeup collection organization video just in case if you're curious of what I have or how I store it, but I wanted to wait to do that till like the end of the year. I can't fit everything in one drawer. Physically, technically I can. However, it's not the way I want it to be organized. Because like I said, I like to lay things out. I want to see everything. I don't want anything overlapping. I want to be able to view my entire collection, know exactly what I have, and not forget about anything because it's buried. So I was kind of doing a Tetris thing, trying to make all of my palettes fit and be able to be seen, and I just had to move some of the singles and painting eyeshadows into a separate drawer just because I couldn't find a way to make everything fit, and I feel like that is a big sign that I should stop buying. I don't want any more. Of course I want more makeup. I'd always would love more variety. You know, trying things out, it's fun, it's cool, it's new, but I don't need it. And I don't want to feel like I need it. And while I do think I've learned a lot over this past year of a no-buy, I think I have a lot more to learn, and so I'm excited to do that. I was going to make a separate video about my no-buy, but I guess it'll just be in here too. That is my update for what I bought and my thoughts on spending in general as of now. So yeah, I'm starting a no-buy, and I'll be giving some love to these products in the years to come and hopefully be very well familiar with the products in my collection. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you're interested, I do have a channel I recently started that is all about musicals. I know most people who watch this probably don't care about that, but in the odd chance that you would be interested, it'll be linked in the description, and yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have an amazing day. Bye!